Hi, we're going to make skillet pizza, and this is really a great crustless pizza, and it's one of those super things for when everybody is in a hurry to eat something and there's not a lot of time to fix anything. This is stuff that you probably will have on hand, and I'm making this the way that Grace likes it, and so most of what I cook is for Grace anyway. And this is something that is so simple she can even do herself. You start with mozzarella cheese, and I nearly always have shredded mozzarella in the freezer. In fact, I pulled that out of the freezer for this. I'm using a fairly small skillet. I'm guessing this is like an 8-inch skillet. I have not measured it. David's like, I don't know. So what I do is I just sprinkle the cheese in the bottom, and the cheese is going to become the crust. Now I'm using mozzarella cheese that we shredded ourselves. You can use the store shredded, but they often put fillers and starches and things in it that you really don't want, and food starches to keep it from clumping. And if you shred it yourself and store it in the freezer, it should be just fine. So once you get it in, and you're going to make just a layer as thick or deep as you want. Once you get it in there, and this is cold, once you get it in, it will begin to melt. The other thing that I like to add to the cheese, and this is totally optional, this may be getting too fancy for some folks, but the other thing I really love to add is some seasoning. And when you put this is just Italian seasoning mixed with a little bit of garlic powder. When you put it in with the cheese, the fat from the cheese as it melts kind of helps to hydrate the herbs and spices and just gives it a great flavor. So even if I make fathead pizza or something, I like to add herbs to the cheese part because I think that's just where the flavor is. So this is starting to melt. I don't know if you can see it or not. Can they see that? I'm just going to sprinkle this over. And it's just going into the cheese, but the cheese is starting to get all melty. And I've got it on high heat, so maybe I won't burn anything, but we'll get it done quickly. And as it begins to melt, it just becomes like one kind of big pool of cheese. Then you can add your toppings. Add whatever toppings you like. Grace has told me she wants pepperoni and black olives, and of course cheese, and I'm adding some breakfast sausage to it. This is homemade breakfast sausage. You can use Italian sausage, whatever kind of sausage you like, but I'm going to put a little sausage, and this is just like a leftover patty, so you can also kind of cannibalize your leftovers to make this. I love meals where I can use leftovers to make a fun, fresh meal. And so, yeah, that's starting to bubble and come together nicely. So let me put the pepperoni in here. And I'm not even like counting or measuring with the pepperoni. I'm going to turn the heat down just a bit because it's starting to bubble on one side, and turn this. I don't usually cook on this side. If you can tell, this is like a different camera angle. I don't usually cook from this side, so it's a little different talking to you and cooking. Things aren't where they normally are. It's looking really good. And I did not get a spatula. I need a really big spatula. Let me sprinkle on some of the sausage, and any toppings that you put, you're going to want them to be cooked, because basically you're not really cooking this. You're really melting the cheese and kind of warming it all up. So I really wouldn't put, you can put vegetables. I like to put onion and bell pepper, but I would saute those first. I wouldn't just put them on there raw, or they're going to be crunchy. So unless you want to eat them raw, I wouldn't do that. All right, almost done, and my hair is in my eyes, so I apologize. Somebody's going to say, don't touch your hair, and I can't help it. I feel like it's in my eyes. Okay, I don't work for a restaurant. I don't think I ever could. All right, putting it all in there, and you can see it's bubbling. I hope you can see it's bubbling. I'm going to throw these last 2 pepperoni in here because if I don't do that, I'll pop them in my mouth. And then these are the black olives, and this is something that makes it Grace's pizza, because David would not touch this with a 10-foot pole. He would have up until the black olives. And now this is all either Grace's or mine. And Grace knows that I like this too. And when you let this go, you can also cover it if you want it to brown, but the crust is going to get firm enough. You can actually cut this with a pizza cutter once it cools. So you want to put it all in there. It's going to get hot. And in the time that it's taken me to put this together, it's almost done. I'm going to see what I can do about showing you what it looks like. It's not quite ready, but when it's ready, what I'll do is simply flip it onto the plate, And this is the plate that I had the ingredients on, but everything was cooked, so that's not a problem. And you can, some people like to open like tomato sauce or use some pizza sauce. It's low carb. I like to use Aldi's tomato sauce. It is 4 total carbs and a 1/4 cup, and you wouldn't use nearly that. You might use a tablespoon or so, which is going to be about a carb. And so that is a really great option for this. As far as the other ingredients, there's 1 carb in the olives. We did measure those out. 5 of the olives make 1 carb. So you probably, if you put the spices, add everything in there together, I'd probably safely count this as 3 total carbs with the spices and everything. And then end with this. But Grace doesn't usually use that. And I think, not quite, needs a little more time. I'm trying to rush it. But when it's done, like I said, you can use this. Now, you can't use this pizza cutter with it until it cools. So what I'd have to do is take it up and let it cool before I can show you the pizza cutter. And let me pause while this finishes, and then we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we let it cook for just a little bit more, maybe just 30 seconds, not long at all. And you can tell it's done when the crust really is set up and you can start to lift it. You could probably flip it like a hamburger if you wanted to, but that's when it's starting to be done. Now you can cook it beyond that and make it more crisp if you want to, but you don't have to, but you can, well, you can't see. When you're doing this yourself, you'll be able to see that the crust starts to brown up a little bit on the bottom. I don't think I can show you, but it does brown up. All right, so it's really warm, and I'm just gonna pour it onto the plate like that. And that's it. Now, I'm gonna have to let it cool before I can cut it with a pizza cutter, but I have my helper in the kitchen, and she is ready to give this a taste. So I've made this for her before. Gracie, do you mind it not setting up, or do you want to wait?
I'm good with it.
And yes, those of you who've been watching Gracie grow up for the past 1.5 years, she is now taller than I am, and I know somebody's going to comment on that too. It's my baby girl. Okay, you want me to cut a piece for you? All right, I got you a piece of sausage on there. I got you an olive. You know, you got to get like the optimal bite, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Oops, uh-oh. Banjo gets that, or Winston, whoever gets here first. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Does it taste like I usually make it?
I've never made it before.
Oh, Grace Sullivan, I have made it for you. Pizza skillet. We make this all the time. You've made it for yourself.
Okay.
I don't know whose child this is. We make this all the time. Anyway, I was going to show you how you can cut it with a pizza cutter. You want another bite? Actually, you're going to probably take this away from me, aren't you? I hope that if you make this for your family, that they remember it, that they enjoy it too.